Ladies and gentlemen, in exactly 47 minutes, Alexander Kane will promise you 40% guaranteed returns. By tomorrow, 3,000 people will write him checks totaling $50 million. But what they don't know is that Rachel Morgan, sitting in the back row with her calculator and a coffee-stained notebook, is about to discover that every single dollar is built on air. The grand ballroom of the Manhattan Hilton buzzed with nervous excitement. 3,000 investors, ranging from suburban teachers to Wall Street veterans, filled every seat. They'd all heard the whispers, the rumors, the impossible stories. Alexander Kane, the investment prophet who had never lost money, who guaranteed returns that made other fund managers look like amateurs. Rachel Morgan adjusted her wire-rimmed glasses and pulled out her worn notebook. As a senior investigator for the Securities and Exchange Commission, she'd seen every scam in the book. But Kane was different. Too polished. Too perfect. Too successful. The lights dimmed, and Alexander Kane took the stage. Tall, silver-haired, wearing a $5,000 Armani suit that fit like it was painted on. His smile could have powered the building. "My friends," Kane began, his voice carrying the warmth of a trusted uncle and the authority of a Fortune 500 CEO. "I'm going to share with you the secret that has made my investors extraordinarily wealthy." Rachel scribbled notes as Kane clicked through his presentation. Graphs showing consistent 40% annual returns. Testimonials from happy millionaires. Photos of his fund's offices in Geneva, Hong Kong, Dubai. The Kane Prosperity Fund has never, in 7 years, delivered less than 38% returns, Kane declared. Never. Our proprietary algorithm, developed by former NASA mathematicians, identifies market patterns that others simply cannot see. A woman in the third row raised her hand. "Mr. Kane, how is this possible when the S&P 500 averages only 10% annually?" Kane's smile widened. "Sarah, that's exactly why 97% of investors fail. They think small. They follow the herd. We dance to a different rhythm." Rachel's pen stopped moving. Something in his tone, the way he deflected the question without answering it, made her stomach tighten. 3 weeks later, Rachel sat in her cramped SEC office, surrounded by towers of financial documents. Kane's fund was like a beautiful machine. Money flowed in, profits flowed out. Everyone was happy. Too happy. Her computer screen displayed Kane's latest filing. $4.2 billion in assets under management. 12,000 investors. Not a single losing quarter in 7 years. "That's impossible," she muttered, pulling up the fund's trade confirmations. Her colleague, Tom Martinez, looked over her shoulder. "Maybe he really is that good, Rachel." "Some people just have the touch. No one has the touch for 7 straight years, Tom. The best hedge fund managers lose money sometimes. It's the law of averages." Rachel dove deeper into the documents. Kane claimed to trade in European forex markets, using a complex algorithm that predicted currency fluctuations. But when she cross-referenced his claimed trades with actual market data, something chilling emerged. Half of the trades Kane claimed to have made had never happened. The markets he said he was trading in had been closed on the days he claimed massive profits. Currency pairs he supposedly bought and sold had moved in the opposite direction of what would have generated profits. Rachel's hands shook as she printed out the evidence. Alexander Kane wasn't a prophet. He wasn't even a trader. He was a thief. Kane's penthouse office overlooked Central Park like a throne room. Floor-to-ceiling windows, Italian marble floors, a desk that cost more than most people's cars. He was reviewing the monthly investor statements when his assistant, Jennifer, knocked. "Mr. Kane, there's a problem." Kane didn't look up from his papers. "Define problem, Jennifer." "Mrs. Patterson wants to withdraw $15 million. Her husband is sick, needs surgery. She needs the money by Friday." Kane's pen stopped moving. In 7 years, he'd perfected the art of discouraging withdrawals. Usually, a personal phone call, a promise of even better returns next month, maybe a small preview payment to keep them satisfied. But $15 million? That was challenging. The truth was, there was no algorithm, no NASA mathematicians, no European Forex trading. The Kane Prosperity Fund was beautifully, elegantly simple. New investor money paid old investor returns. Rob Peter to pay Paul. Keep everyone happy. Keep the money flowing. And no one asked questions. It had worked flawlessly for 7 years. Kane lived like a king. $50 million penthouse, private jet, yacht in the Hamptons. His investors received their statements showing incredible gains, and most were happy to reinvest their profits rather than withdraw cash. But lately, more people wanted real money. Withdrawals were increasing, and Kane was running out of new investors to feed the machine. His phone buzzed. A text from his money manager in the Cayman Islands. Account balance, $47 million. Kane stared at the number. 47 million left, with $4.2 billion in supposed investor accounts. The mathematics were uncomfortable. He walked to his window and looked down at the tiny people far below. Somewhere in that ant farm was Rachel Morgan, and Kane's sources told him she was asking the wrong questions. Rachel's breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A janitor named Carlos, who cleaned Kane's building at night. Carlos had noticed something odd. Kane's offices were always empty after 8 p.m., but the computer servers in the basement ran constantly, processing what appeared to be thousands of trades. But when Carlos mentioned it to a friend who worked in IT, the friend laughed. Those servers aren't connected to any trading networks. They're just running screensavers that look like trading software. Rachel met Carlos in a coffee shop in Queens, far from Manhattan's financial district. Carlos slid a USB drive across the table. I took pictures of the servers, he whispered. And I found something else. A room full of printers. They run all night, printing what look like account statements. Thousands of them. Rachel plugged in the USB drive and her blood ran cold. Photos of servers with no internet connections. Industrial printers churning out fake statements. And most damning of all, a whiteboard in Kane's private office showing the real numbers. Actual assets, $47 million investor statements showing. $4.2 billion monthly withdrawals needed. $28 million new investments needed to survive. $35 million. At the bottom, in Kane's handwriting, time remaining. 6 weeks. Rachel realized she wasn't just investigating a Ponzi scheme. She was watching it collapse in real time. That night, she called her supervisor. We need to move now. Kane's pyramid is collapsing, and when it does, 12,000 people are going to lose everything. The end came faster than Rachel expected. 3 days after her meeting with Carlos, Kane received a call that made his world crumble. Mr. Kane, this is Margaret Chen from the Wall Street Journal. We're running a story tomorrow about irregularities in your fund's trading records. Would you like to comment? Kane's hand trembled as he set down the phone. A journalist meant someone had leaked. Someone had evidence. Someone had talked. Within hours, Kane's phone exploded with calls. Investors demanding explanations. Lawyers threatening lawsuits. Financial advisors pulling their clients' money. By noon, Kane faced $200 million in withdrawal requests. By 3 p.m., it was $500 million. His assistant Jennifer quit via email. His lawyers stopped returning his calls. Kane stood in his empty penthouse office as FBI agents pounded on his door. Through his floor-to-ceiling windows, he could see news vans gathering on the street below. His perfect machine, built over 7 years, had collapsed in 7 hours. Rachel Morgan was part of the FBI task force that arrested Kane. As they led him away in handcuffs, she couldn't help but feel a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. Justice was being served, But 12,000 investors were about to discover that their retirement funds, their children's college savings, their dream homes, all of it had been built on lies. Kane turned to Rachel as they reached the elevator. "You know what the real crime is, Agent Morgan?" "Enlighten me." "I gave them hope. For 7 years, I made them believe they were getting rich. I made them happy. Isn't that worth something?" Rachel's voice was ice cold. "Not when it's built on other people's dreams." 6 months later, Rachel testified at Kane's sentencing hearing. The courtroom was packed with victims. Teachers who'd lost their pensions, retirees who'd invested their life savings, young couples whose dreams of home ownership had evaporated. Maria Santos, a single mother from Brooklyn, took the stand. "Mr. Kane promised me my daughter could go to college. I gave him everything, $150,000 from my late husband's insurance policy. Now my daughter works at McDonald's because I believed in a lie." The judge sentenced Alexander Kane to 25 years in federal prison. Of the $4.2 billion investors thought they had, only $47 million was recovered. Kane showed no emotion as the sentence was read. But as he was led away, he caught Rachel's eye one final time. "The system is broken, Agent Morgan," he said quietly. "I just exploited what was already there. People's greed, their desire to believe in miracles, their willingness to trust someone who told them what they wanted to hear." Rachel watched him disappear through the courthouse doors, knowing he was partially right. Kane hadn't created human greed. He'd simply fed on it. But she also knew something Kane didn't understand. For every Alexander Kane who preyed on people's dreams, there were investigators like her, working late into the night, following money trails through labyrinthine financial records, committed to protecting the innocent from the wolves in expensive suits. The Ponzi prophet had fallen. But Rachel's work was far from over. Somewhere in the vast financial ecosystem of New York, another smooth-talking criminal was probably giving a presentation to eager investors, promising impossible returns, building a new house of cards. And Rachel Morgan would be watching.